Welcome back to Groovy Eggs Farm. I am Jeff. Today is Monday, 65, sunny. That storm that blew through here wasn't as bad as everybody was saying. We got just a little bit of rain, some heavy winds, but not nothing too major. Yeah, as you can tell from the title of the video, this is not going to be an upbeat, positive one. It's a big bummer. I hope you'll stay through to the end. I might have a few surprises for you. But before I get into the dog attacks and how that happened and stuff, I want to show you what I'm doing to combat that in the future. So right now my entire property is fenced. The best I could do it with the resources I have available. So first off, I'm going to show you that. Some of you have noticed I've got an electric fence going over my driveway now, and yep, so half of my property has electric fencing. I would like to get a stronger energizer. There is a plug on the porch for me to put a stronger energizer to make these fences hotter, but the woodshed over there is where the electric fences start. So, and it's hooked up to that energizer, and so I have these two fences running off that energizer. One fence is protecting my blue black splash copper bronze flock, and then the other fence is the perimeter. It goes from the woodshed and all the way across the front of my property. So that flock you just saw, they are double fenced. They have two electric fences protecting them. So the electric fence goes up here, and then you can see that chicken coop that was here when I bought the place. Well, there's a metal fence that goes from that chicken coop all the way around the other side of my property to that woodshed. So I've got metal fencing from the chicken coop to the woodshed, and then I have electric fencing from the woodshed to the chicken coop on the other side. And then I have two flocks, my black copper bronze flock and my white and true blue flock. They both have their own fence, and then they have another electric fence surrounding them. So they have double fencing, and then also the perimeter fence. So I now have you know, they're 3 times protected, 3 different fences. And you know, I lost those flocks, so I could use their fencing to do the double and triple fencing. So that's the best I could do with the resources I have, and it's worked so far. The first dog attack happened on this front coop in the front yard here, and what happened was the fence was off and down. I was in the process of fixing it. It was, I don't know, mid-afternoon, 3 or 4 o'clock. I had left all of the chickens were left inside of the coop that day because I had planned on working on the electric fence. These guys were not in their coop, and they were inside their own electric fence, and their electric fence was on. It was just this electric fence was off, and I had sections of it down to repair it. I went inside. I'd been working on repairing it for probably a couple hours over the course of the late morning and early afternoon, and I'd gone inside for 10 minutes, and I came outside and I heard a ruckus, and I walked towards here, and there were 2 dogs. One of the dogs had a chicken in its mouth. These chickens were all cooped up. So what the dogs had done was they had torn their way into the chicken coop. So they ripped off the chicken wire from the frame on this side, and they ripped it off from the corner over there, and then they also ripped it in the front in both sections. So yeah, 2 dogs. I ran inside. I did grab my camera, And I'll show you a real quick clip from my camera. This was just moments after the attack happened. I had caught the attack while it was going on. I went inside and grabbed a camera. You can see the other chickens were out. Their fence was on, and so those were protected. This fence was down. I was in the process of repairing it. These two dogs went after the chickens that were in the coop. And at this point, I just pointed the camera at it while I was doing something else and getting in my car ready to chase them. You could see that sections of the fence were lying on the ground and other parts weren't up straight because I was fixing the fence. And you also saw the two dogs that were involved there. Yeah, I didn't catch the attack on camera. I caught the aftermath on camera. And I then followed the dogs, went running down the road. I got into my vehicle and I followed the dogs. The dogs caught up with their owners, and there was a confrontation with the owners of the dogs that wiped out my flock. That was my whiting true blue mixed feather color flock. I also had black copper marans in there to create olive eggers. But yeah, I did follow the dogs and confront the owners, and I've got some clips. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but basically the owners, they didn't care. They just did not care what was happening, and they were excusing themselves because Arkansas doesn't have leash laws. So apparently that means they're not responsible for the damage that their dogs do. But yeah, they didn't care, and it seems they didn't care about their dogs either because they told me I should have shot them. And those two dogs are yours?
The black one and
the black one and the black tan one?
Yes, sir.
Just running around.
Oh, there's dogs running all up and down this road.
Yeah, I didn't catch them on video killing my chickens.
Oh, killing your chickens.
Yeah.
There's no leash law here.
I don't know about all that. But video them next time.
Leash law has nothing to do with this.
Take you a gun out there and shoot them next time.
Okay.
Okay.
You have the right to.
Yeah. I can do it. If they come onto my property, I can do whatever I want.
Right.
I would rather not kill the dogs.
That's right.
About 3 weeks has passed since that, and waiting to do this video now has probably helped prevent me from just screaming and yelling and it not being good. So yeah, I have calmed down. I was not all that calm at the time. But yeah, that was a big blow. My whiting true blue mixed feather color flock. There were 14 hens and pullets in there, black copper marans. And just to give you an idea, if one hen lays 20 eggs in a month, 20 eggs out of 30 days, and let's say 15 of them I can hatch, and they sell for $5 each, that's $75 per month per hen. And I had 14 in there. So that was a huge financial loss to me. And they just don't care. The neighbors just don't care. But that was only one flock. What about the other flocks? Just a few days later, after that, I was delivering baby chicks in the morning. And that morning I had let all of my flocks out except for two. There were two flocks that their fences are weaker than the others. So I left those two flocks in their coops and took off to deliver baby chicks. And when I got home, I did not have the perimeter fencing up yet. I was still using those fences for the two flocks that I ended up losing. But I pulled up my driveway and there were 5 dogs. The same 2 from before and 3 others. One of them I recognize is another neighbor's very large black dog. Might be a pit bull mix of some type. And the other 2, I recognize 3 of the dogs. They are the neighbors, and they are commonly around here. Not the neighbors across the street, but they're down the street a little bit. So I pulled up that driveway here, and 3 dogs took off one direction. 1 dog ran by me down the driveway, and the other one took off in the other direction. But when I got home, I discovered that 2 more flocks had been completely wiped out. My number 2 legacy Easter egger flock, every single one of them Every single one of them was killed. And I'd left them inside the coop because I knew that electric fence wasn't as hot as the others. I was still in the process of repairing it. But these dogs, they just ripped the door to shreds and ripped the chicken wire off. You can see they just pulled that out and the chicken wire came out, and they also ripped the chicken wire off the back. And yeah, I apologize for the feathers, but and then they did the same thing to this other flock. The fence was just all tangled up, and I think what happened was one of the dogs probably got tangled in the fence and loosened it up and drug it down, and then these two fences were connected. So once the fences were down, then they had access to both of these chicken coops. So in this coop I had black copper marans and I had Easter eggers. This was a flock of about 30 chickens, and you can see on this one they just ripped the frame. They just ripped the frame and they ripped the chicken wire off right there and the corner and in the back. So that was 2 more flocks. In total, the 3 flocks that the neighbor's dogs killed, I had 50 hens and pullets in those 3 flocks. What was strange about both instances are the chickens that got attacked were inside the coops, while you can see the fraternity boys flock here, I'd let them out for the day. Their fence was hotter and they're the fraternity boys. But so their coop door was open. They were outside running around. Same with my other flocks right over here. Those chickens were not in their coops. They were outside and running around, but the dogs targeted the chickens that were inside the coops. There were only 3 hens and 1 rooster which barely survived the attack, and all 4 of them did not make it from their injuries. I tried my best, but over that night I lost all 4 of those also. This was just devastating in so many different ways. And I know there's going to be, I should have done this, I should have done that. I mean, I'm doing that to myself. I know my setup wasn't perfect. I probably could have done better, could have done this or that. But this wasn't a bear, this wasn't coyotes, this wasn't raccoons or possums or foxes. This was the neighbor's dogs. That part of it could have been preventable. They don't care about their neighbors, and they don't care about their dogs. It is true that Arkansas doesn't have leash laws. It's legal for you to let your dogs run around. What is also legal in Arkansas is if your dogs go onto another person's property, they can kill them, or they can take them and rehome them. If you allow your dogs onto other people's property, there's a chance they can get shot and you'll never see them again. So that's also legal in Arkansas. And so, if you're letting them run around, do you really care about those dogs if they wander onto somebody else's property and get shot? If you care about them, to me, you would want them to stay close to home. But yeah, and I'd been 3 weeks ago, I would have been screaming and shouting and yelling and cussing, and I'm still not that calm about it. This is a major problem on this road. Dogman, Mike, Dogman down the road, he can tell you all about it. He has been here for years, and there's just packs of them, 30 plus dogs just within our little stretch. Some of you might remember a dog had puppies underneath my house last year, right before I moved here. The owners no longer live there, but they left their 2 dogs behind. Now, those 2 dogs don't mess with my chickens. I've seen them touch the fence and run off squealing. So I've not had a problem with those 2 dogs and my chickens because the fences work. In fact, the same dog that just had puppies, had the same dog that had puppies under my cabin last year, had puppies over there. I have not seen them in the past week or so, and it would not surprise me a bit if the other neighbors' dogs that form a pack and go around killing stuff got those puppies across the street. So this place is just always going to be a dog problem. You know, my last place, I was up there for 5 years, and not even once did a dog get into my coops and get at my chickens. Not even once over 5 years. And it's just going to be a continuous problem here. Some of you might remember I lost my black copper Marans flock late last summer to one of the neighbor's dogs. And that was one of the reasons why I was scraping by financially this winter, was losing the income. Those were my best sellers and my highest priced baby chicks, and that cost me probably a good $1,500 to $2,000 that I lost from the dogs taking out that flock. Now with these 3 flocks gone, it's cut my income probably by 80% of what I would have been making. And to me, that's devastating. I don't have disability or government benefits of any type. There's no check coming to me guaranteed next month or next week. My income comes from YouTube and from these chickens. So that's devastating. I'm not a big time YouTube star making a lot of money, not even enough. Yeah. So I've been relying on, you know, my chicken business is my income. And so, you know, my income is how many eggs are hatching each week. And with those 50 hens gone, that's just devastating. I'll sit down and do some math for you and show you how much these neighbors' dogs killing my flocks, how much that has cost me. It's costing me my dream. This is just not an easy video for me to make. I do not like being the victim. I do not being in a position where I need some help. And I can probably get through this without some help, but I'm gonna have to sell either the shed house or this property to make it through. Even, you know, if I doubled my YouTube income and every hen lays an egg every day, I'm left with 15 hens. I do have 3 flocks left. I have the blue black splash copper Marans flock. I have several hens and several pullets in that flock. I have my black copper Marans flock. All of those are pullets, which have just started laying. And I do have my whiting true blue duck wing feather color flock. And there are only 4 hens in there, but I do have a dozen pullets that have just started laying. But with only 15 hens, it's good. Before those pullets start laying eggs that are large enough, it might be a month or more. And with only 15 hens, that's not enough with my YouTube revenue to support myself and pay all the bills. I do not have income coming from other sources. So it's just the YouTube and my chicken business. And, you know, I try to pick up side jobs. I've done that before. And I've been doing that for the past 3 weeks here also. Fortunately, I'm in a position where it doesn't totally ruin me. Thanks to the YouTube support I've gotten since I've been here, you know, I'm in a position where I have some assets that I can try to make my way through this. But I'm just not going to be able to pay my bills here on what I have left. Yeah, they have those 50 hens. I'm left with 15. I have the capacity to put 140 eggs in the incubators each week. And let's say 100 of the 140 hatched at $5 a piece. That's $500 per week. And that's just the baby chicks. If I got more eggs than 140 per week, which is 20 eggs per day. Then I could sell those as hatching eggs, and that could have been another $200–300 a week. Some of those I could sell as, you know, started pullets. I had a flock set aside for David at Come On Homesteading, and he's getting ready for some in May, and I had been raising his flock like I did for Simple Life Reclaimed earlier this year, and those were all killed also. So that was also revenue. That would have been a one-time revenue thing, but some of those were pullets that I was raising, not for breeding, but for you know, for Come On Homesteading or other friends that needed them. Some of those chickens were my olive eggers. They were my back crosses that I've been working on for 3 generations to get the really dark green olive eggs. And that's something that I needed to prove myself for the book that I'm working on. So with those hens, you know, I'll be right now, instead of 140 eggs going into the incubator and extra eggs to sell as hatching eggs, I'll have 70 or 80 eggs going into the incubator each week. And I might be able to scrape by on that if I can double my YouTube income. But fortunately, I have some assets that I can sell, and so that's what I'm having to look into, is to selling those assets. This is going to be a big year for me. A big year. You know, 100 baby chicks a week, that plus the hatching eggs. I might have been clearing $3,000 a month for you know, up until October, and doing a little hatching over the winter. So that would have been a very good year for me. I would have been able to expand, and now it's you know, I won't make enough to rebuild. You know, it costs money up front for me to hatch my own baby chicks or buy baby chicks and to raise them. There are food costs involved, and if I'm just scraping by paying my bills, then that sets me back at least 2 years on my business. And this was the year I was going to break out, but that is not going to happen now. So I am looking to sell either the shed to house or this property, and I've had, you know, 3 weeks to consider my options and start looking into stuff. So hopefully this is where this video starts getting a little better. Let's look at my options of selling the shed to house or this property. Let's talk about the shed to house first, and whether that's my best option. I have to sell one of the properties. Is the shed to house going to be a good option? What could I sell it for? And you know, judging by other, you know, tiny houses, what's available around here, you know, mine's finished out with you know, plumbing and electric and insulation and walls and ceiling and flooring, and it's finished out. The problem with selling my shed to house is I am not a bank, so somebody would have to pay cash for it. And I'll disclose that, you know, that shed to house was a gift to me. There was one major donor who really funded most of it. The Self-Reliant Roadshow, Prepstetter Bob and Mrs. B came down. You know, just a couple dozen people came over to help, many YouTube channels, and I'll disclose that more than $20,000 was spent on that, and then a ton of free labor. So what could I sell it for? I think right now I'd be lucky to get $15,000 for that shed to house, and the reason why is they'd have to pay cash. I'm not a bank. I can't do owner financing on the shed to houses. So my competition for that shed is not other sheds that are completed. It's also the sheds that somebody can go buy new, rent to own, you know, $1,000 down, $400 a month. That's a lot easier for people to do than come up with $15,000 in cash. So when it's only a cash sale, you know, supply and demand. The demand for my house goes down because they have to have cash, and when the demand goes down, your price goes down. So I would probably be lucky to get $15,000 for the shed to house. You also have to consider the paying to move it. Either they're paying or I'm paying. But you know, $10,000, and who knows how long it would take. You know, we don't live in a high population area, so it would be tough to get a good deal, get a good return back on that shed to house that was given to me. And you know, the whole idea with that shed to house, there's a reason why I hung on to it. I've had people telling me to sell that or give it away. I've had people telling me to give it away. But there's a very good reason why I've held on to that. The plan before this happened was for me to get it moved down here, and I need to do that. That was one of the first things I needed to do. I've already sold the land that it's on to my neighbor Bulldozer Man, and I promised him it's going to be out of there by the end of May. The cost to move it is roughly $2,000. I don't have that now, but I would have if this had not have happened. But the plan was just to move it here, and then you know, it'd be storage, if not, you know, something else. But the plan was for me to keep it because I do not plan on staying on this property. This is 1.6 acres. Half of it is covered in rocks. It's a pretty big slant uphill. It was better than my old property. I moved here to get my business started, but this is not a good property for me to grow my business. My dream has always been to stay here until I can get a property that I can grow with. You know, more acres, more chickens, you know, more business transactions. And so my goal was, this was never going to be my forever home. This was always the next step to my bigger dream of more property. And so that's why I was holding on to the shed to house, was I knew that this was a stepping stone. I was only going to need to be here, you know, maybe a year, two, probably two, and just be ready for an opportunity to come available. You know, when land becomes available, it's a lot cheaper if it doesn't have a house on it. So buying raw land is cheaper than buying land with a house on it. So having that shed to house in my back pocket, so to speak, means that I could shop for raw land, and you know, I could plop my shed to house down on there and go to town. So that's, you know, that was a strong, I've got to sell something, so I had to think about the shed to house, and that was definitely a strong option. And I'm so thankful that you know, that I have an asset like that, when in times of this it could have come in really handy. But we, you know, I didn't pay for that shed to house, but everybody who pitched in would not have made our return on investment back from that shed to house, as opposed to this property. So let's talk about my options of selling. Where am I going to live if I sell this place? Yeah, I know I've got a shed to house, but I don't have any land to put that shed to house on. But still, you know, if I sold the shed to house for $15,000, well, if I sell this place, I'm probably gonna clear quite a bit more than that. What about selling this property? Well, I told everybody when I bought it a little over 2 years ago that I paid $30,000 for this house and property, and it is worth considerably more than that right now. Yeah, I would think it's worth 50, probably more if more work were done and more cleaning and stuff like that. But yeah, I will definitely get, and I've been paying for 2 years, and I put a big down payment on it, so I don't owe 30 anymore. So, you know, anything over 40 is going to be more in income for me than selling the shed to house. If I sold the shed to house for $15,000, if I get more than 40 for this house, then I'll be ahead on the shed to house. So Yeah, my plan was never for this to be my forever home. I've already outgrown it. I have too many chickens, and this was just a stepping stone. My last property, you know, my goal is to be able to sell my chicks and hatching eggs throughout the country. In order to do that, you need a federal, it's called the NPIP program, National Poultry Inspection Program, and you need to pass that and be certified in order to sell across state lines. And I had the inspector out to my old property, and so I knew that property was not going to work, but this property would. And that was something I was working towards, and I would have done that this year on this property. But now I don't have enough product to sell to make it worthwhile, you know, going through that process. So I can sell everything that I can hatch here locally, and I don't need to sell across state lines right now. But that was the whole purpose of this property, was to get me, you know, built up and growing enough that you know, that I could start saving up money for a bigger piece of property. That's been my dream since I got this place, and I think I've shared that several times, that this was not my forever home. This is not a great property for me to be doing what I'm doing, but it was better than the old place, and it was a good deal no matter what. But now that I'm forced into a tough decision, you know, gets my brains going. I can't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. I got to find a way out of this problem, and so selling this house is probably what's going to happen. You get up for 1 second and Bob always steals your seat. Yes, he does. But the neighbor's dogs are the biggest problem. I cannot turn my back for 10 minutes here, and they will destroy everything I've worked for. So the dogs on this road, and I don't see that you know, becoming any less of a problem anytime soon. The dogs on this property is the biggest problem. Another problem is this road. You know, I've had people tell me, well, you got to get your own dogs. Well, I don't want to be like those owners whose dogs just, you know, took out my dreams. I don't want to be like them. If I get a dog, I'm going to be a responsible dog owner. And this is only, you know, 1.6 acres. I'd have to do better fencing around the perimeter. And my dream dog is a Great Pyrenees, and an acre and a half is just not enough to keep a Great Pyrenees happy. So, and the road right there, you know, I don't like having to swerve to miss dogs in the road. I don't believe in putting other people in a position where they're going to run into your dog, or put them in a position where your dog is on their property doing things it shouldn't be doing. And so, and when there's 5 dogs attacking your chickens, you know, I don't know if 1 dog would be enough anyway. So, you know, the dogs are a problem, and this road is a problem also. It would require me to spend a lot of money in order for me to have livestock guardian dogs. And I just, you know, I want to be a more responsible dog steward than my neighbors out here. Another problem with this property is it slopes up and it's covered in rocks. And that creates a problem with my fencing. It creates a problem with my ankles and my calves and my feet. I do a lot of work after dark because the chickens are on the roost, and that's the best time to, you know, do leg bands or move them around. And all these rocks are just, you know, not very conducive for what I'm doing. It makes it harder to keep these fences up and at the, you know, at the height of their electrical shock. You know, the fences, I have to work around where the rocks are, and so that's a problem. And, you know, just walking up and down this hill and through the rocks every day, it's yeah, I don't know how many times I've turned my ankles or tripped and fallen, or, you know, especially when I'm holding a camera and walking at the same time. But yeah, this property is just not my long-term long-term place for me to build a chicken business. It was a good place for me to get started, but this property is I've already outgrown it. I could put chickens on every square inch here, and right now I have the chickens, you know, separated into 2 groups, and that's not ideal. If I had them all centralized and then had 2 different fences around their individual fences. So I'm going to be working on that, is moving the 1 flock I have left in the front yard back here, and so I'll have my chickens, you know, more centralized and can do that. But in the meantime, this just is not my long-term property. So so yeah, I have to strongly consider go ahead and selling this one. I'll have money to live off of, but and I've got a shed to house, but I just need a place to put the shed to house. And yeah. I really do love this house, and this is a great location. I especially love that kitchen because I designed it myself. But this property was just not going to be my forever home. This was just a stepping stone for me to get a bigger property that can handle my dreams for my chicken business. And my dreams for the chicken business, you know, with 200 hens, let's say I get 100 eggs per day. That would be 700 eggs per week. Let's say I had the incubators to do 700 eggs per week. Well, let's say 500 of those eggs hatch and the baby chicks are $5 a piece. So that would be $2,500 per week. Plus, if I get more eggs than that, selling hatching eggs, you know, anywhere from $20 a dozen. I see some of them going for $60 to $80 per dozen. Not that mine are that good yet. They could be, you know, years down the road. But yeah, with just 200 chickens, and you know, with you know, let's say I've got 8 flocks of 25 hens. Well, that's 200 hens, and it can be a profitable business enough for me to hire an employee. That is, you know, that is one of my dreams. Also, I am not getting any younger. I don't know how long I'm physically going to be able to do this, but I have no other choice. I have to rely on myself for my income. I'm not banking on disability being there. I'm not banking on Social Security being there. You know, they're saying it's running out of funds in 2033. Well, I would be, you know, what, 62 in 2033. So I'm not banking on any of that. I am doing all of this to help secure both my present and my future. And I need to build the business big enough that I can have an employee, so that once I get to the point where I can't do all the physical work, it can still get done and I can still make enough money. You know, I'll pay the employee more than I pay myself. But then that will, you know, that's been my dream, to get to the point where I've got at least 1 full-time employee, and I can do that with just 200 hens. Another one of my dreams is, this property isn't big enough, and I was talking about the grass the other day in a video, but I would like to move my chickens around. I would, you know, what I've been doing here in the last place was just leaving the chickens in one spot, because, you know, that's, you have to do what you can with what you've got. And so, you know, my dream is to move the chickens around so that you let the ground where they were heal and regrow, and then you move them to fresh pasture, fresh grass. That cuts your feed costs, and it also helps the chickens stay healthier because you're moving them around. And, you know, that's always been my dream, to do rotational grazing with my chickens, and that's just not possible here. Another dream is to have bigger flocks, and that's just not going to be possible here. You know, having 50 chickens in one flock is easier to take care of than having, you know, 10 chickens in 5 different flocks. So this, yeah, this property just was not in my forever home dreams. It was a stepping stone, and so that's why I had to seriously think about selling this. and I've kind of put the wheels in motion. So this house is for sale, and yeah, don't start contacting me. I already have 3 people very interested in it. One is so interested that they have started the loan application process. But if I sell this place, where am I going to go? You know, it's hard to buy a new place until you've sold your old place. So these are the, you know, the obstacles that I've been dealing with for the past 3 weeks. Is, you know, I don't want to be the victim, and so that's part of the reason why I waited so long to tell you about, you know, losing 4 of my flocks since I've been here to dogs, when the previous 5 years I hadn't lost any to dogs. I didn't want to come to you guys with just a problem and me needing help. I wanted to have some, you know, how do I turn this bad situation that's putting me back 2 years in my business dreams? How can I turn this around? So I've been doing everything I can the past few weeks to try to turn this very negative situation into a positive situation, and yeah. So I've been doing that. I might have some buyers already interested in this place, but if I sell it, where am I going to go? Well, I started shopping. You know, is there any land out there that's really cheap? Is there any owner financing land out there? You know, I wanted it at least 4 acres, 3 if it was pasture, you know, and it's just, there's not a lot available, but I think I found one. So out of this tragedy, let's see if we can't just turn this into something positive. So if I sell this place, where am I going? Let's go take a look. We interrupt this program to talk about my vehicle situation. I'm on the way to that property to talk about it, and I figured I'd just turn on the camera and talk about my vehicle situation. So yeah, the Town and Country, it was a better fit for somebody else in the family, so I offered to give it back to the family. It was just, you know, with all the bells and whistles on there, you can open the doors on the hatch with a button, and it was just a better fit for somebody else in the family. And you know, with these neighbors' dogs wiping out my income, I needed something more in my budget, and my budget is a free loaner. So that's what I got, is a free loaner. This is a 1999 Mercury Villager. I've had a Mercury Villager before. It was a few years older, and that was, you know, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, something like that. But yeah, it's a pretty decent vehicle. The cruise control does not work, so this is not a long-term vehicle solution for me, but it is good enough for now. Some people ask, well, what's wrong with Boss Hog? Well, Boss Hog gets 8 miles per gallon for one, and it needs some work done. And what exactly it needs, we're not going to find out until you get in there. The mechanic I took it to before said it's probably needing head gaskets, and that's probably true, which can be fixed, but you're not going to know for sure until you get in there. And you know, it's you know, running on 6 cylinders. It's enough to get me to Waldron and back, but I just don't trust it for anything more than, you know, 10-15 miles here and 10-15 miles back. So that's up with Boss Hog. I do want to keep it, and I need to keep it now. It might have to become my only vehicle again here in the future. You know, there might be an opportunity for me to hang on to this one. I don't know yet. But so for now, you know, Boss Hog is it's going to increase in value. 10 years from now, if I don't do anything to destroy it, that 91 Chevy Suburban is going to increase in value, whereas this one in 10 years is not going to be worth a penny. So you know, I do want to hang on to Boss Hog. And once it's running better, I can use that for a lot of things. It's great having a utility vehicle when you are, you know, running a farm or a homestead. And if it's running nice enough, I can hook a trailer up to it, haul stuff around. You know, the back is big enough. So I do want to hang on to Boss Hog, and it might be my only vehicle. You know, things are still up in the air on the vehicle front. So that's what happened is, you know, I needed something more in my budget, and a free loaner is in my budget. Okay, I'll see you from this property that is for sale, and we'll talk more then. This property is for sale, and I want it. This is how I turn a major setback to my dreams into a giant boost for my dreams. It's not listed, it's for sale by owner, and it's also owner financing. It's more than 6 acres. There's no structures or anything on this. It was a larger property that they sectioned off into smaller lots. And the location is, I'll get into that, but I believe in this, and I believe in me so much that I put a deposit down on this property. It is mine if I want it, and with some help, we might just be able to pull this off. Like I said, it's more than 6 acres. There's electricity right above me, and there's county water company right along the road right here. It's never been developed before. You know, there's a driveway coming in. It's on a dead end. So no more paved road, 55-mile-an-hour semis going by. 6 acres is big enough for me to get my own livestock guardian dogs. That'll be one of the first things that I want to do with this place. But yeah, it's how can I afford to make this my new home before I sell the old place? And that's where I'm really going to need the help. What else can I tell you? Don't want to give it all away. It's back up closer to my old place. It is, my old place was like 15 minutes away from Country Road Cure and Simple Life Reclaim. This place is like 10 to 12 minutes away from them. So very close to friends. David Come On Homesteading. Possum Run Homestead isn't too far. Now the Drifting Dreamers 5, they'll be up in the area. So as far as the location goes, this is just awesome for me. I'm only like 15 minutes outside of Boonville. So my old place was like 35 minutes from Boonville. So this is closer to Boonville. And that saves me time and money also. You know, with Boonville being closer, and there's Walmart there, which has cheaper food than the Harps in Waldron. So that would help me cut down on my living costs. The payments on this place would be the same as what I'm paying for my current house. So those expenses wouldn't go up. Those would stay the same. This opportunity, it was just incredible, so I've jumped on it as soon as I can. I first came to look at this place about 3 weeks ago, and I've been, you know, beg, borrow, and steal. I don't steal, but beg and borrow for this dream to come true for me. More than 6 acres. What I would need to move here would be, it needs to be cleared. So a day with a bulldozer to probably clear 3 or 4 acres of the 6. You know, I'd clear out the middle section and leave, you know, trees around the perimeter. This is mostly new growth. There aren't very many big, large trees in there. It looks like it's been cleared, you know, within the past 20 years. So most of the stuff is like what you see behind me. A bulldozer would take care of that. And then after it is cleared, I would need some gravel for a driveway and a pad for my shed to house. Yes, move the shed to house here. Once I get the shed to house here, hook it up to the water and the electric. And yeah, I've lived in worse situations than that. But in order to pull that off, you know, time is money for me. As soon as I can get here, I can start hatching chicks and raising them and get started on progressing my chicken business. So it is, I don't know how long it's going to take for me to sell my current house, and I don't know how much it's going to sell for. And I'm going to need most of that to live off of until my chicken income increases, which will be next spring. You know, it takes 6 months before a chicken lays its first egg at 6 months of age, and then they're usually pullet eggs. So it's usually 8 months before you can start hatching their eggs for baby chicks. And so, you know, this is a lost year for me as far as growing my business income. But it doesn't have to be a lost year for me for meeting my dreams. And yeah, 6 acres, I can start homesteading again. You know, that old place, I had chickens everywhere. The old place. The old place, I have chickens everywhere. The current place, I have chickens everywhere, and I've got room to grow. It's raw land. Once I clear it, I can set it up how I want it set up in ways that are convenient for me, as opposed to my current place. You know, I had to kind of work around what was there, but here I can set it up how I want it. I can have, I've never owned a dog in my entire life. I've never owned a dog, and because I know they're a big responsibility, and you know, I've never been in a position where I had enough space to do that. And if you guys can help me get here, I'll have my very first dog ever, and I've been dreaming of a Great Pyrenees. Why not 2 Great Pyrenees? 6 acres is big enough for that. If I'm going to invest in perimeter fences around my chicken coops and flocks, well, it makes more sense for me to invest in it here than at the old place where I don't plan on staying very long. But yeah, I really could use some help right now in making this dream come true, turning back into a homestead. I could, you know, nothing with me happens fast, except when it does. Everything goes slow, and then it's a hurry, and then it's a slow. And you know, I've gotten to where I am right now because of the YouTube generosity. You know, I've made enough to get by. All of the major boosts that I've had in my life have been from help from the YouTube community or my family. You know, my family helped me out buying that my first place here in Arkansas, and then you know, Different came down, and that helped me out with YouTube, and it helped inspire others to come and help me. I talked earlier about all the help with the shed to house. That was a big boost. That's not all that help that I've gotten the past 6 years is not going to go to waste. It has not gone to waste. All the help that I got on my current house helped increase the value to make something like this possible. So you know, if I'm gonna ask for help, I don't want it to be for, you know, just help me get by for the next few months. If I'm gonna ask for help, I want it to be a big life-changing event for me, and this would be it. Like the shed to house, like the boost I got when I bought my current place to get that ready for my chicken business, and one more boost of help, and hopefully I'll never need help again. But right now, this is a dream, and I'm hoping that I can get some help to make this dream come true. I figure it's going to cost $6,000 to $7,000 for me to get the land cleared, the driveway, the pad, get my shed to house moved here, and get it hooked up to water and electric. You know, I know some friends, you know, less than 10 miles away who just went through all that stuff. So I've got a good estimate from local people right here on how much that's going to cost. And that would get me here and get me going. And then when I sell my current place, I'll need most of that to live off of until my chicken business picks back up. But hopefully there'll be enough left over for me to put in a septic system here, and perhaps put on an addition to the shed to house. My shed to house is 12 by 40. I need a place to, yeah, you know, I need other spaces other than that shed to house. So yeah, that way when I do sell my house, and I don't know how much or how long that's going to take, but I can go ahead and I'll get started on this tomorrow. You know, if I've got the money in my bank account, I'll make the calls tomorrow for the bulldozer and start scheduling that to happen. And if you help me out here, you are going to see the results. I think most people who have helped me out in the past have seen the results. And I work hard every single day to support myself and to build for my future. And I'm going to do that here, and you're going to see it. You're going to see this go from raw land back to Bobblehead Homestead. Yep, I will be homesteading again. I couldn't do that. It's just the current place wasn't big enough, and I didn't have enough time and energy. I won't have enough time and energy here, but it should make my YouTube videos a lot better when I'm, you know, exciting stuff is going on. Bulldozing and bringing in building a driveway and a pad and moving the shed to house over here. And yeah, it's going to be exciting for quite a while on YouTube, and that'll help me, you know, invest in this future also. So yeah, I guess that's it. Is I'm trying to get about $6,000 to $7,000 of help to make my dream come true on this 6 acres, close to friends, close to town, in an area I want to be in, and the excitement of getting a raw piece of land and designing it and making it into my own, taking advantage of the shed to house that it's already been gifted to me, taking advantage of all the help I've gotten the past 6 years and the help fixing up the current place so that it's worth more, and you know, one last boost is going to give me a giant leap forward for my business. So there are a few ways I have that you can help me out. The first way you can help me out is by watching my videos and the ads. Oh, I never ask people to watch my videos. That way they're not, you know, disappointed. But yeah, watching my videos and my ads is that means a lot to me. It does put extra money in my pocket. It doesn't pay all my bills, but yeah. The next way is the second way is I have set up channel memberships, and you're supporting me and my dreams. You know, I can tell you all the great things that you'll get with channel memberships. But for the most part, you'll just be supporting me and my dreams. The memberships will give me a little bit of income each month that I can count on. And that's something I don't have. I don't have anything, you know, what hatches the next weekend is what I can count on, and you know, how well my videos do. So the memberships will really help me have a little bit of secure income each month. It'll help me rebuild the number 2 flock. They were all wiped out. I did have eggs in the incubator. So those have, the last of those are hatching right now, due to hatch tomorrow. One hatch right before I left. So the last of number 2's legacy flock is hatching. And yeah, you're going to be helping me keep them going. You know, from a business standpoint, I'd make more money on a flock of black copper Marans than I do from number 2's legacy flock. But it's got, you know, there's more meaning to keeping her flock alive to me. And so, you know, if you can help me out with the memberships, that's going to help me rebuild my flocks. It's going to help me keep number 2 legacy flock going. And so that would be a big boost. Some of the benefits are you get special emojis. There will be a community section just for memberships. And that's probably going to be the main benefit. Members who put comments, I'm going to put more effort into responding to all my members' comments. And in the live chats, there are special badges you can get. And you know, it's not a whole lot of benefit. I don't plan on doing special videos or special lives for the members. Just that community section, and then the other things. And I can also offer a discount on my merchandise for members. So, but other than that, it's going to be, you're supporting me, you're supporting number 2's legacy flock, and you're going to help me get my very first dog I've ever owned and start homesteading again. The second way, and I hate asking for help, beg, borrow. I will beg or borrow to make this dream come true. I believe in it so much. So, you know, I'm trying to raise that 6,000 to 7,000 to get this cleared and ready for my shed to house and moved here. I do have a PayPal down below, and I have a Cash App, and I have a Venmo. I've just did the Cash App and Venmo, but so PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, they will have links down below. And if I end up needing more than that, we might think about setting up a GoFundMe or something like that. But yeah, I'm just putting it out there. This is my dream. I'm asking for some help to go from a devastating loss into my dream. 6 acres. I'll be happy here the rest of my life. I'm still going to dream of a 1,000-acre cattle ranch, but you know, this is it for me. I can start planning for my future and planning out a whole homestead. It doesn't have to be just chickens on 6 acres. There are some ducks that lay some really cool colored eggs. You know, not just livestock guardian dogs. Well, let's maybe I can have a small herd of sheep. Enough room that I can rotationally graze, and you know, this will be silvo pasture for those permaculture people out there. If I save some of the bigger trees, and you know, guard goose. This would be enough. I could get an emu. I could get an emu here. But this is just, it's more than I need for what I want to do with. And this would be a dream come true if you can help me out. So there we go. That's how we go from bad news to good news. And I think that's all I've got. So thank you so much. Thank you for me even having an opportunity like this. And take it easy. Because you need to take it easy for me. If I can get some help, I'll get started on this tomorrow, and I will bring you all along. So take it easy.